you need to know are only available on the African Actions Network, 2A Radio and TV. The
Hello, our viewers, and to those who are joining us, especially Mr. George Numo, the former Chief Operating Officer of the General Auditing Commission, now um, someone who is a resident of the United States. Two of us have a very interesting discussion today. We want to discuss Liberia. As you may be aware, this is a country on the west coast of Africa that is about to conduct an election this year. And minus that, we want to know whether or not, in fact, what is situation like in Liberia? There's a lot going on in that country, and we are here this hour to have a better discussion of what is going on. On the election front, we want to talk about the media and elections. Can the Liberia's media ensure a free, fair, and transparent elections? How do you think? What do you think about the Liberian media? And furthermore, we want to talk about Shalom Musu, the former Justice's daughter, and we want to know what is going on. What is the update on that investigation? We are hearing that the family of the late Musu is blaming the government or trying to undermine or to press in the mind of the biological mother of the late Shalom Musu. We're going to talk a little bit about that and try to see whether there's any new development. And then we look into the Liberian politics generally. Mr. Number, welcome to 2A Radio once again.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Um, I'm happy to be here as usual.
Well, you're on the backstage, Mr. Number. You
Yeah,
prefer that way?
okay. Now, can I enter?
Yeah, why not? We can see you.
Okay. I thought that. Okay.
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 Well, you cut the light off, right, from the background?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, um, I'm happy to be here as
Okay.
usual. Um, the situation in Liberia is very depressing. Yesterday was Gloria Scott. Today is Yeke Koluba, who has been, who house or area has been attacked 3 days in a row. Today is serious accident on the Ravelsfield Highway. Today is the election commission asking people to go to their website and register, put in the information with no database to counter check whatever information I put in there. But the barcode I get from there, I will take it to the election, take it to the voter registration area with no question asked, and they will take my picture and take my fingerprint. I think we will win the election before this voter registration is over. I thank
Okay,
you.
we will go into detail of that's a very sensitive issue you have just raised, and we will go into looking at that process. And you being a computer person will be able to also um, give an insight to our audience why you think the biometric system that is being introduced is problematic or is going to involve some unrealistic or some cheating in a elaborate way. So you're going to tell more about that. Well, let's look at firstly the Liberia's media. You've been in the business of the perspective and writing articles and hearing, from the different spheres of society. How do you see the media in Liberia? Can the media make a difference in Liberia? Looking at elections,
Well, the current media we have, I don't think the media operatives are operating in the interest of the Liberian people. There was one reason why we started a perspective. The three of us that started with the perspective, we had no journalists among us. I'm an engineer, Abraham Williams, that's accountant, or Siayon Klon Yansio, that's a social worker. But we felt that journalists on the ground, under Taylor, lives were on the line if they wrote anything anti-Taylor. This is why people even had to go in the bathroom to read the perspective the copies that we smuggled into the country. But Liberia is a free country now, I believe. But the media is still afraid. They feel that when they criticize the government, they will not they will not uh, keep themselves afloat. So you have seen interviews like you, Jensen. You go, you say anything about the government. You go, the media will question you like they are the government or information minister or ministry. So I think if we if we want to bring the media in, we are wasting our time. Civil society organizations, they have betrayed the Liberian people. The Liberian Bar Association, the same way. I mean, you have your hand in all the groups here. I know you are a lawyer. you
but
are,
the issue. Let's talk about the media
no, no,
per
no.
se.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay, okay,
And
okay.
then we
Yeah.
can bring that in. I don't
So,
have problem before you
so,
think that
so
I'm so
that
biased or I
is
don't want
that
you to
is
discuss the national bar.
that is my take. I mean,
Okay,
we can keep the barn or for another discussion or civil society for another day. So, for the media, that is my take on it.
okay, but I think the media is doing well to some extent. We cannot outrightly condemn the media to think like that they are not significant in the upcoming elections. For example, the media is supposed to provide coverage of electoral activities, and I think we have been reading some pieces of information in the media, the
Mhm.
newspapers in Liberia. We are reading the newspapers, and another issue would be biasness, or you know, how well are they going to echo the issues that will unfold. So the way you speak, do you think the media cannot be encouraged to do the best they can to ensure a free, transparent elections?
Well, they can be encouraged, but they will not do the best they can do. Perhaps they will do
Why?
the worst they can do.
What?
You Jensen put an article together or put a presentation together and send it to Liberia to a media institution. That media institution will go to the Liberian government and say, "This is what they wrote about you, about this person. What do you think?" Oh, I will, I will, I will, will go to prison, and they will kill that right there. It's like when they introduced the ticket system, police giving ticket in Liberia. I think that was in the 80s. I was in Liberia. Policemen will ask you, you involved in a traffic accident, they will ask you, if you want a ticket or you want to talk to them. That's why police people are not giving tickets. Yeah.
So do you another thing as we talk about the media, I'm concerned about the proliferation of political parties and individuals who want to contest elections. Now, the media, in my view, can the media, and let me ask you a direct question, can the media single out a candidate? Is it right to do so? And then to conscientize Liberians to gravitate towards that candidate. Can the media do that?
Well, uh, yes.
Why?
Right here in the great United States of America, media institutions and those candidates. Boston Globe we endorse a person, Atlanta Journal Constitution we endorse this person. So they are at liberty to do that. But in Liberia, that cannot be done. If you Johnson, operating George Nemo Free Press organization, and you go and endorse, say, Tiawan Gonglo, you will never get any ad from the government. The government will
Okay.
punish you for that. And the low things that they are getting, low ads that they are getting from the government, they say that what keep them afloat. So media institution cannot do that, except that politician or that political party will foot their bills.
The reason I'm asking is because I know for sure on in the United States and on bigger media topics, we have read that the media can sway, the media can uh, um, make the voters to be gravitated towards someone who have been spotted to be a best candidate for the general good of society. But in Liberia, if the media starts to do that now, I'm sure you might be one of those who will criticize them. For example, why if the media decided to gravitate towards the Gonglo or towards the Bwaka or towards George Weah? Why if the media? So there would be a huge outcry from either of those sides if the media was to just say, you know why, we think Gonglo is the best presidential candidate. I think the Liberian people articles and commentaries start going towards him. There would be a lot of concern. In the same vein, if it was like the Joseph Boakai, and you see people started to write articles and commentaries, Liberians will begin to criticize. That's the same way we throw it towards George Weah. If that was, in fact, George Weah would be worse, right? If the media saw George Weah as, okay, you know what, this man, our first time, and we should give him second chance, and there are a lot of editorials, a lot of everything, like they said, you know, people will criticize the media. So the independence of the media, we have to also try to, see how can we have the media to be independent when they're also supposed to enlighten the minds of the people about a better democratic process, a better elections, and how they can make decisions. if I were to ask you, what would you recommend? What are some of the things you think about the media that they can start to do now to make election free, fair, transparent, and that can help the people to make a better decision?
Well, here, media institutions assign reporters to candidates, the presidential candidates, and those who are assigned are paid by the media institution. So, to endorse a candidate does not depend on how much money that media institution has received from that particular candidate. They go by the candidate platform, what the candidate stands for, to endorse the candidate. And we have maybe, 100 years or maybe 150 years to get there, the Liberian media, to get to that point, to be independent. They are not. Somebody will, in Monrovia, somebody will come to you, Jensen, and interview you and say all the good things you want to say, or you have to say for Liberia. And when they are leaving, they show their hand, you don't give them money, you will never hear that anywhere.
You speak so hard about the Liberian media.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I
You
know
do not
this.
believe that there is a single one newspaper or radio station in Liberia
Name,
that
name,
can look at the
name,
issues.
name it. Name it now.
Let's talk about the analyst newspaper. Let's talk about the
Analyst. Hold on.
Inquirer. Let's
Analyst. Ana- Analyst.
yeah.
Inquirer. Oh, oh,
Heritage.
Daily Observer. Heritage. Front Page Africa. They are
Right.
all together. I'm telling you the truth.
So
I'm
even
telling
from
you.
Page
I'm
Africa, you don't
telling.
trust them.
I'm telling you what I know because I interacted with these people when I was in Liberia. When I was in Liberia.
Now let me ask you this question: Do you think there is a single name, political name, based on their own hard work, that the media, maybe there have been some research, some surveys, and all of this stuff, and the media assuming that they want to uh, make Liberians or voters to gravitate towards certain name? Do you think there's a single forceful name, politician, that the media should sell to the Liberian people?
Well, um, if I do that, it will mean that I am campaigning.
Okay,
What the media needs to sell to the Liberian people now is for them to go and register to vote.
right.
And when the campaign time comes, ask me that question.
Okay.
I will send them in that low corner where that person is sitting. But I don't want
But
to
you
say
you
that.
you 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 have a name right now.
Yeah, I have a name though, but I cannot call it until campaign open.
Is that Cummings
I can't say anything.
or Buckeye?
I can't say
Okay, let's move ahead.
it.
Okay, I'm speaking with Mr. George Numo. He's the former Chief Operating Officer of the General Auditing Commission, and he's a tough talking Marylander. He also from Maryland. The Southeasterners I very tough um, group of Liberians. So, and for him, he's like a friend to 2A Radio. We always like to hear from him. He's one person who is willing to talk. We want everybody to come and talk. But Mr. Nomo is always willing, so that's why we get Mr. Nomo here most of the time. But Mr. Nomo, there is this issue of research. Before I leave the media, is there a media institution that you believe can do research or can do a better survey and get the results and be able to narrate, the findings in the truest sense and be able to help Liberia's elections, 2023 elections?
Well, I don't think so. Uh, with the caliber of media institutions we have, uh, that research will be biased. It will be harmful propaganda. So I don't blame politicians who go out of the country to bring people to do polling. Ellen Daly and the 2020, yeah, that was the 2017 election. Ellen Daly, the 2011 election. Ellen Daly, and other people are doing it because
Okay,
the
I think we get some.
the Liberian media institutions will not be upfront with the candidate because they feel that I know that money we get in our pocket next time we're not getting money. So we should come out with euphemism. Yeah, you were saying something.
Okay, I think we have Chichua is trying to join us. Let's
Okay.
see. Um, uh, Mr. Jones, how are you?
Oh, I'm well. I'm well. Good to see you, Mr.
Hello,
Good to see
Nupo.
Honorable.
you. Good to see you too.
Since you ran away from me the last time, so I'm happy you're back.
Oh, the- who ran away?
I'm happy.
I,
I'm so
I,
delighted to see you.
I thought you ran away from me.
Uh,
Okay, guys, Mr. Chichua Jones is a presidential candidate, and he's saying that he wants to participate into Liberia's elections. Mr. Chuchu is one of those discussing on this platform. Mr. Chuchu, today before we give you a chance to introduce yourself, we are discussing three major issues, primarily looking at trading events in Liberia. We want to look at, or we are looking at the issue of elections. The Liberian media, can they help to ensure free, transparent elections in Liberia this year? Second, we want to cross our eyes on the death of the late Charlotte Musu, daughter of the former Chief Justice of Liberia. What is the status of that? How do you think, some of you, what have you heard? What do we think of that? Is there going to be any culprit or people who will be found in doers of the eye? Then lastly, we want to look at um, the Liberia political system. What do you all think, especially someone like you who want to participate into elections? What is your take? How do you look at political parties? So let's start with you. Introduce yourself and give us some summary note on some of the things we just said we are discussing.
well, I don't think I need much introduction. I'm Chuchu Alex Jones. I'm a change agent. Okay? My role in Liberian politics is to bring real change. Yes, I'm an aspirant. I will love to hold the highest office. I think I can provide the kind of leadership and vision that a third world dysfunctional country, mismanaged country like Liberia, and this is based on my own background and research and involvement with Liberia for more than 20 years. But ideally, I'm a change agent. So my goal is not just the October election. So I want to make that very clear. I see a lot of people, are very excited, but then once the election is over, that's the end of it. You won't hear from them again until the next election. And that's part of our problem. Other than electing a president, we have a dysfunctional, broken system in Liberia. And those things will not be fixed with a new president, no matter who becomes president. We have a lot of problem. Again, one of the issues that I've been very concerned about over the years is the media, the incompetence of the Liberian media. And I must agree with Mr. Nubo on this one. I have firsthand knowledge of dealing with Liberian media personality, most of them, not all. There are pockets of some very good, uh, distinguished Liberian journalists and media personality. And I will even go further to say that I feel good stations that you can get credible information that is not swayed or bought. And I think two A is one of those stations. I would say Smart TV is another one. A very young man, Socrates runs that, and he's very objective. So that there are some good programs also on some of the media platforms that are good. State of the Nation, I think they speak the fact. They bring both sides, of the aisle. But the front page Africa, the data observers, all the legacy media, they are disgrace to media. They are all bought. In fact, they are just propagandists. They are not journalists. They are not
Well,
playing.
I think it's not really being fed, and this is a discussion, and things come, to the fold. But I would have loved to see front page or see some of the major media institutions be represented. And maybe what I would do is we'll try to see whether we can contact some of these media managers to see whether they can come. And in those kind of a situation, maybe I may contact you and Mr. George Nomo. That are criticizing the Liberian media to a larger extent. But what we're concerned about today is, do you think the media can help with free, fair, transparent elections?
No, the media of Liberia, I mean, maybe during the 80s, but then again, during the 80s, they were just anti government. They were either on one side or the other. What you expect from a journalist? Every journalist has their own preference. Every media institution has a right to endorse any candidate or any party. The corruption is that when you do that, when you don't do that publicly and you pretend to be giving an objective story, that's where the problem is. And that you can be said particularly with the
But I would disagree with you, Mr. Jones. The Liberian media or no media institution should all rightly come out and say, well, this is my candidate. The media is supposed to be free, independent, and ensure that, for example, if you have 10 political parties, 10 political leaders, you must give them equal treatment as to giving them out the opportunity to provide the information that they want to sell to the public. But if you go out and say, okay, you know what, Mr. George Number is my candidate, then of course you are put yourself in a very biased position. So what happens if somebody else did something? What do you say? Or if Mr. Number did something, you wouldn't be able to talk about it. So the media is, just by its creation, the fourth estate, it is supposed to be the institution that serves as a watchdog for society. And that's bring to the point of independence. And not to say, well, I am operating the kind of political grouping we call media, all the social media grouping. Some of them are not media practitioners. Some of them have never been in media school. Some of them don't understand the ethics. So we understand all of those things. Political platform is different from media institutions. Now, the media will do all they can. Sometimes they may not be fully into operating on the ethical standards, but that does not negate the fact that the media should serve as a fourth estate. Now, again, Mr. George Noble, I bring the same question to you. I'll come back to you, Tutu.
Okay.
Don't you believe that the media can indeed help in the elections? Don't you think with all of the proliferation of media institutions you can get? Because if we don't have the media, elections are not going to be free and fair. Like one who will sit here and say that. Because right now people are trucking people. We're coming to that. People are trucking people. I have heard some of these media people getting taped, recording. They said what? They saw people gathering human beings because they want to truck them to a different district, electoral district, to have them register for this biometric, whatever they're doing in Liberia. So you cannot sit here, or the two of you cannot sit here and outrightly condemn the Liberian. Should you make it clear? He said he does not fully condemn the media. He know there are some good, but for you, Mr. Nomo, you say all of them are bad apples.
100%.
So you can't find one to ensure transparent elections?
Okay. Well, one thing I want to set straight first.
Mhm.
My
No personal target today.
no, no, no. My uh, Miss Ato said,
You gotta know that something will come away.
I'm the chairman of Choo Choo Party.
Oh,
So
okay, okay, okay. That's a good. That's a good one.
one thing I want to say to my candidate is that the media of the 1980s, they were not anti-government. They were pro-Liberian people. They were anti-corruption. They were anti everything that was bad. I will give one example. I was I was with the I was with LPP, and then when it banned LPP, I was with Liberia Action Party. We went to a chiefdom, and we were looking for a chairman, and the paramount chief of that chiefdom said, "I am the chairman here." I said, "But you are paramount chief. You are paid by the government." He said, "Any party that is against Samuel Doe, I am the chairman of that party." So he was acting like the media of those days. But we don't have, regrettably, we don't have the media these days, that type of media. You talk about social media, and they give themselves name now, and they are the fifth estate. So they are the fifth estate, and
Mhm.
if something is about your partners, you don't say it, you don't say anything about it. We blame people here when Witherspoon thing came. Yeah, Costa thing coming up, hey chronics do not want to say it. So no, the media thing is rotting these days. And it's good they call themselves Liberian journalists or Liberian media because they are from a different planet.
Well, I think most of us who study communication in Liberia, there is, and I believe that some of these guys, some of the media institutions, if you read their editorials, you can see some fine articles in there or their
Mhm.
papers. And so I wouldn't agree with John no more in complete um,
But
with your statement
partially,
that
right?
say it again.
You say complete. I say, but partially, right?
No, not partially. I mean, I would agree with Chuchu. Chuchu said he doesn't think that the entire media, you know,
Hmm.
is like, you know, bad apples, so to speak. But you said all of them are bad,
Yes.
which in my view, now the reason why we're discussing this, and I'm sorry that we don't have any media person on the platform here beside me. So I would defend all of these media institutions, and you guys can tell me whether it's wrong or right. The
Hmm.
front page has been revealing a lot of other information, despite whatever disagreement you may have with them. They are
Hmm.
one of the outstanding newspapers in Liberia. The Heritage has done best, and the Inquirer, the what, the New Dawn, and many other papers. They are doing their best to publish stories that are unfolding. It may not be like they are working to please George Numo, but they're doing all they can in their own way with all the challenges they are facing, but they're still doing their best. So we cannot all rightly criticize all of them. There are some articles, Mike said will sit there. I don't agree with them. There are some headlines that I see in the morning. I just say, okay, I know what this guy is awful. But to just put all of them in one wrong basket and say these are all racking apples, I don't think that's fair to the media. What do you think, Mr. Numbo? Before I go to Chuchu.
Well, I feel that, like they say, every nation deserves the leaders it has. I feel like Nigerians deserve the type of media people they have. These people you're talking about, if they were that perfect, if they were that utopian media institution, You think today they will publish this? Like Ellen Johnson said, say today this person will publish, their institution will publish this, and tomorrow they publish something, you start wondering. But where that strange story come from? That strange story come from somebody's pocket. Somebody have given somebody more. George Numo has given some media institution more money than Chuchu has done. So the institution that was praising Chuchu yesterday, they call me hero today. So that's what wrong with the media institution on the ground. I'm not talking about 2A radio. So
No, I mean you can say anything about two radio. I mean
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
we would take all of the any switch we will
at least
throw
you're
our
in
bag.
America here. Your eyes are open, and you. I don't think you trying to impress on anybody. You know,
No, not at all. We are not.
on the ground for you to tomorrow go back and run for office. But
No,
there
not at
are
all.
some people here, some media people here, majority of them, they want to go back and do what is going on now.
Okay, let's go. Let's
So
let Chuchu.
that's my take.
Chuchu, the reason why we're discussing the media is because in elections, a lot of things happen. People are going to be fighting one another. They're going to be, especially so on the main day of election, ballot boxes might get missing. People are going to like right now put on trucking human beings. We cannot sit in America and know what is going on in Liberia. You need an independent media, and this is why we are talking about the media. Now, for you, you are clear to say there are some good media institutions in Liberia or presses. So the difference between you and George Nimble, and that is very important, is who do we rely on for a free, fair, and transparent elections? If the media is condemned, how do we know whether election is free, fair, and transparent? How do we know if somebody said, well, there was ballot boxes gotten missing? How do we know that? And these are the reasons why without the media, there will be a lot of things that will go on. You will have politicians, somebody will go in the night, take a few ballot boxes, carry in some corner, and just put ballot papers in it, and then those things happen. So this is why we not only discussing the issue, but to encourage the media to get to realize their importance in the democratic segment, especially with election. So Chuchu, what do you think about the media, and what advice?
Like I said, my organization, Movement to Make Liberia Better, one of the things, which is a think tank that's been operating for 3-4 years now. We identify the good medias, and we also name and shame the bad ones. Okay, and I can tell you the bad ones. Now, the smaller media houses, we can give some of them a pass, but when you're talking about a major national network like Front Page Africa, okay, or like Spoon TV, or like Daily Observer, okay, they have a responsibility to the people which they have abdicated, and in fact, to me, they are more corrupt, and maybe sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes I think it's just their own sentiment and their own frustration, okay, and lack of support from, the business community and the government. So they're not doing it, to me, or the, purpose is just ignorance sometimes. They don't know the role they play and how the consequences. And I'll give you an explicit example.
Especially so on corruption. How do you know? How can we convince that media institutions are really corrupt?
Well, if you ask a media, you ask those major media, and we can name, like I said, a major one, Front Page, very corrupt, irresponsible, useless.
How do you say that?
Because we have had evidence where Front Page story are completely biased towards ANC and Alice Cummings. I've seen document communications between Front Page Africa and Cummings directly. So when I make a statement, I do my homework. I have gone and look at every one of Front Page story covering the election, and I have yet to find any negative story against Alice Cummings.
Oh, so they support Alice Cummings.
Yeah, they clearly have a contract with Alice Cummings, which is fine, but they are not biased. I mean, they are very biased in terms of how they cover the story. They are, criticizing or not. Sometimes corruption doesn't come in the form of just going taking a bribe or writing a positive story towards someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're an investigative reporter and you're known to be one of the people, one of the institutions people rely on to carry on due diligence investigation, and you select who you want to do that, when it comes to the government, you're quick to get all the details, for instance, a passport incident or any other incident. But look at the situation with the $70,000. Look at many incidences with the CPP, how they cover the story. Completely biased and
suppose I will pose this to you. Suppose a front page decided to take it to court to prove whether they are corrupt. Can you go to Liberia and do that?
If anybody, I always ask anybody if I wanted to take me to court. Like every statement that I make or my allegation or whatever, I would love for them to take me to court. I think they would just find themselves being embarrassed more because the evidence overwhelming. I don't make statements, irresponsible statement. So front page is very biased. Or you talk about the New Dawn newspaper in Liberia. Mm-hmm. Whether we like it or not, social media is media everywhere around the world today. In fact, social media today is the leader in terms of informing people. More people get their news and information. Right. So I don't distinguish someone who is using social media and someone who is just using print or brick and mortar as two different. If you are in the business of providing public information and news, you are a media, you are a journalist.
No, I would differ with you on that. I mean, social media, there's a distinction between social media and that. Mr. Numa would disagree with that on that too. The social media platform is just like, and then one can get and pick up their phone and open page.
No, but I'm not talking about, and hear me, I'm not talking about a private individual. There's somebody like Josh Lobo who comes on his show. He's not a journalist. Obviously, he's not providing news. He's not an institution. Okay, he's just an individual with an opinion. But I'm talking about, for instance, 2A, where you came on and said we're providing news, objective news and information, right? Mm-hmm. And you just like did Zero from Pay Africa in terms of journalism. Yeah. Okay, or NPR or CNN, no different. What are your sides, where you are, where you're not? You are in the business of providing the public news and information. Mm-hmm. So I'm not talking about individual like Cindy. You got a lot of crazy people just get up. Even Henry Costa. Henry Costa is not a news media institution. He's just a talk show host. So I won't consider. But I'm talking about Front Page Africa. I'm talking about Spoon TV.
Okay, I think you are just correcting yourself because I was looking at where you said there's no difference between social media and journalism.
Oh no! On the social media, there are social media, that are providing news, and those are the ones that I'm concerned about.
Okay.
Not the individual who have their freedom of expression and coming. Okay, so those ones. Let me give you an example. A few months ago, you guys cover a story about a ship going to Liberia, a boat ship, with allegedly with contrabands. Right. How many media in Liberia follow up on that story or even bother to put it in a newspaper? This is a major incident. Drugs were found in Liberian waters. Eyewitness. There were reporters there. Mm-hmm. Which one of the major newspapers say, you know what, let's look into that or let's do a report?
I agree with you on that.
And that is the incompetence. That is the kind of incompetence that is destructive to the entire nation, that you have journalists don't even know their function. You have news media that have been around for ages and they don't even, the most basic things, which is just providing, when I'm saying that you should accuse the government or not, but just to go and cover and find out what happened. We have a serious drug pandemic in the country where young people, lives are being destroyed. and you have the evidence. You have journalists on the ground telling you this is happening in my county. You have fishermen with cocaine, and now one news journalist. Where is even the VOA? The VOA that people hold so in such regards. Those are some of the incompetence and some of the bias and corruption.
Sometimes, and I agree with you because Mr. Numo is here. There were days in Liberia. Some of us want to find accurate news. We're looking for the perspective. Right now, the perspective is not operating like before. So most of us, we're looking all around. Sometimes when daybreak, we try to find what can I read. But there is something about the media, and sometimes like this, the instance you were talking about, when we saw those vessels on the Maryland waters or Liberian waters in Maryland County, that was something breaking. Even up to this time, how that story ended, even ourselves that brought the story out, we don't know yet, right? We don't know how that story ended. All we heard that those vessels, drifted from Europe and got to Liberia, and how they left Liberian waters. I was sitting here.
And not only that, what's damning about that is the government of Liberia issues conflicting stories.
Right.
Clearly lies. Well, and I'll be the first one to say one of the biggest problems in Liberia is the U.S. policy towards Liberia. And I know nobody have the courage to say it, and they can take me to task if they want.
What do you mean if you say U.S.?
Okay, I listened to the ambassador recently that talked about Liberians causing trouble in the diaspora. Okay. That's a complete irresponsible statement from an ambassador.
Well, I mean, I think
okay. No. We have it. We discuss in the media. We discuss in the media because they claim to want to bring peace in Liberia, and be neutral and do the right thing and train journalists, but they are very selective and political. They get up one day, they say, "Oh, Josh, our administration is doing well," but then you find instead, then the next day they get up and say, "Oh, the government is corrupt." They bring their anti-corruption ZAV and wherever, come to Liberia, make a complete spectacle. Then they turn around and fund the very government that they claiming are corrupt. They form the program and they praise the what the heck is that? You talk about the election commission. There's evidence in Liberia from the anti-corruption that the chairman of the election commission was caught in violation and corruption scandal. What is the U.S. position on that? Why would they be funding an election? All right, that they very.
There's a reason, and I can tell you a little bit about that because.
Okay, so tell me. I mean, I would love to know.
Right? The missions in Liberia, diplomatic missions, they cannot be seen as, for example, asking the government, you must remove the chairperson of the National Election Commission. Let us assume all odds, are given that she is corrupt or she's involved in some act that, does not,
Then why they will make a noise when it came to McGill and when it came to Cephas? If that's what I'm saying, they are confused. If they want to say we're just going to be a diplomatic observers, then they should not have made a spectacle or a government official having press conferences, bringing allegations against him, and leading. They have complete bias, and the example they are setting is completely irresponsible. And that's why I said, if you look at Liberia history, I would say 51% is Liberia and 49% is directly United States foreign policy towards Liberia because of their own self-interest. You cannot come and say you cannot be a diplomat one day.
Yes,
yeah. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Nomo. Yeah.
Yes. You may not like it, but I agree with Chuchu. The ambassador's statement was irresponsible, very, very irresponsible. That was the same behavior, similar behavior. The woman before the ambassador, Christian Adler, that's how she was behaving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on now.
The ambassador has been.
Hold on. Okay. Give me a break. They killed 4, 5 auditors. You didn't hear a statement from the U.S. Embassy.
Mhm.
All the killing, all the corruption, the $25 million, $16 billion US, or no, or Liberian dollars got missing. USAP auditor or audit firm, what did they do? They redacted the audit report. You know, say
There
like
could be a reason for
classified
that, Mr.
report.
Nomo. Mr.
Eh?
Nomo, there would have been a reason for that.
Oh,
And
oh,
for example,
no, 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 no,
let me
let me,
assume like we
that
had, I mean,
assumption.
out of my own assumption, right? Let us
Okay.
assume that the leader of Liberia name was in a report. If his name wouldn't have been, now I'm not saying for sure. I don't know the redacted portion of those reports of both the two reports, but I know for sure. Let us assume that an African leader is involved or an African leader's name is in an audit report, especially with the tension in Liberia at the time. If Josh Weah's name was in that report, and for any reason it was not redacted, there would have been a very serious upheaval in that country.
Why
And it
would
would
it
have
be?
been
Why,
linked squarely on like
Jesse,
Did
I
they,
totally
did
disagree
they
with you
kill, did
because
they kill the tension? It did not
correct.
kill the tension. All these things are going on. If Liberians here when Liberians here in the US talk about it, the ambassador come out and condemn them. Look at their human rights report on Liberia.
Correct.
The same thing we are talking about, those are the things in there. And because it did not come, this thing did not come from the State Department, the ambassador don't want to condemn them.
Clearly, Nipo, it's
I
clear
mean,
here that
he's
this
doing
ambassador,
disservice to the Liberian people.
okay, the
Yeah,
ambassador
we thought he
is
was a
very
very good
inexperienced.
person from the get
I
go.
think the ambassador, what's about? I think yesterday you guys were hailing the ambassador, right? When he put out, how corrupt the Liberian
That
government
why I said
is.
we thought he was when he started, waking JJ
But you
Roberts
did
up,
praise him at the time, right?
JJ Roberts up from
You
the
praised him,
beginning.
right?
Yeah, we
You
praise
praised
him.
him.
We
Yeah,
said he
but
was
you
doing
see,
the right
when
thing.
people do good, here's the problem
Yeah,
here. Okay,
we
Okay.
praise him. But now he put a foot in his mouth.
correct. We can't be hypocritical. All
I
right.
agree.
When
Nobody
people
wants to
do
do that.
good, and I have been one of the Liberian, I would say, aspiring that have always stood up for what is right, regardless where it's coming from. Whether in America, the policy is bad or not, or it's Boyka, or it's Komis, or Gonglo, or even myself. Right is right, wrong is wrong, no matter where it comes from. So when the American policy or the ambassador, all right, does something that is good and helpful for peace and development in Liberia, I would praise them.
Yes.
Okay.
But when they do something that is irresponsible and dangerous to peace and security, I must criticize them too. You talk
That's
about
democracy. That's democracy, right? I don't think ambassador
not
will
just
even go
democracy, that also morality. That's also having integrity, and that's what many of our leaders do not have. And that's what happens to Liberian leaders because they get into offices and they are incapable of
But you
taking.
guys are not mouthpiece for the Liberian government. Why are you guys talking like you guys are official of the Liberian government?
No, we citizens of Liberia. I think more than being. So this is not a thing against.
We're the one who hired them.
And this is the role the journalists should be doing. This is what the editorials or the different front page should look at statements and
Right.
look at actions, what
I
are
agree with you.
national, international, right? And come up and discuss it. When last,
Okay,
I
guys,
mean,
okay,
the
I
US,
agree with you. But let me ask this question. Let's go straight to Liberia. There is trucking of citizens from one region to another. Let's leave the U.S. ambassador small. We might find some of your diplomacy if they're willing to talk.
but then when you should send an invitation to them, I think they need to come and explain themselves because what they
Okay,
just did there,
so the trucking of voters.
Let Jensen call the ambassador and let ambassador
and
Yeah,
ask him for an interview.
I think the manager listened to us. Tomorrow, maybe she will shoot an email to the public affairs office. Let's see whether they'll be willing to talk to us. But let's go back to our voters registration. We are hearing that they are trucking, taking people who are not in a particular electoral district and taking them to an area, and that is done by either would be representatives or senators or even the current government.
Okay, so almost all the parties in Liberia are guilty of that. Only when it does not work for them, then they have a problem with it. So there was many reports of that happening, even during the last midterm elections.
Okay.
We verified that all the people who voted for Darius DeLong were from Moswado County. But Darius DeLong will have no problem with saying, no, this election was there were irregularities. You understand? But because he won. But if your opponent wins, and that has to do with the lack of the lack of confidence and the lack of having a good election commissioner. One of the things I'm proposing, right? Presidents should not be appointing commissioners, election commissioners. That's the first problem we have. Because and it's so stupid that nobody can think about that. If a president,
what is your formula? What is your formula? What would have been your formula?
My formula is the election commission. You set up a committee that is made out of people from different expertise, and they are the ones
who appoint that committee.
Yeah.
Who should appoint?
Like you, the prophet state, pastors, or people you get up.
Hold on. I would differ with you on that.
Let me come
okay,
in.
It's a number.
The election commission here in the U.S. is appointed. The members are appointed by the president.
No, that's not true.
No.
Secretary of State are the commissioners.
No, they are appointed.
That one is easy to find out.
No, but you go on.
Okay,
you hear me on that one.
Go ahead.
The Secretary of State.
Can you give Mr. Numo a chance to talk?
You can still go and do the
wrong, yeah.
Okay. And those people that they appoint on the election commission come from the political parties. It's not Biden jumping up and say, "Oh, George Numo is the chair of so and so." The commission, the election commission now, I believe it was appointed by maybe George Bush.
And America does not have an election commission.
They have.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
For the best of my knowledge, the Secretary of State for each state. Hold on. The Secretary of State for each state is responsible to conduct the election in that state. The Secretary of State they are elected.
National Election Commission.
No, they are elected. The Secretary of State for almost, I think, all the states in America is an elected position. So anybody can hold a Democrat, Republic can hold that position, and they are the one that are responsible to conduct the elections. Now there are representatives from other parties.
So who appoints let's assume it's a Secretary.
Yeah, not appointed. They are it's an elected position. I think in all the states in America, Secretary of States are not appointed by the governor or the president.
They are elected. I don't know of state that, maybe some state appointed.
Maybe I don't know.
But they have a National Election Commission. You got to do a research.
Okay, probably. But I know that
do a research.
I won't dispute that.
Election Commission, and those people come from the two major parties.
Right, but you see, the problem here is
hold on, and the chairmanship is rotational.
Okay.
It will be
who appoints the chairman. I'm still concerned about that.
The commission appoint the chair. The president appoint the commissioners, and the commissioner elect their chair.
Right. So it could be something like that. Right. Okay.
So that's how it's supposed to be.
My issue here is
in Liberia, the election commission, they should have brought people, from the top, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, political parties, and those people, it would kill being biased. But all these people, they come from CDC, so what you expect from them?
Exactly.
And the journalists we have on the ground will not highlight that. They will come on the internet, go to Jensen and others, to a radio, and that's looking for news to publish tomorrow, whereby we're supposed to be looking for news from them to publish. They're looking for news from us.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go back to the trucking. The trucking.
I didn't hear the trucking. The trucking, I heard, I did not see the incident that in bombing they wounded some people yesterday. They
Wow.
damaged the, how do you call it? Is it MTA bus that
I
they
guess saying
damaged
that.
the transit. I know
Mm.
that MTA, or how they call it now.
Yeah, that's MTN,
Yes,
Maritime Transit Authority.
they damaged it, and people got hurt because they were transporting people from Monrovia. And I feel compared to disagree with uh Alex when he said they truck people from some places to Monrovia for DeLong. I believe that Monrovia is the source of the reservoir, for the voters. So people come and take people from there. I heard that Yombly and even Western Guard took people from Monrovia and took them to Bassa. So the Delon issue,
No,
it's
no, I was just using Delon
okay,
as an
okay,
example.
okay, yes. But
Yeah,
Monrovia
but
is
you are right,
uh-huh,
and look how disgraceful it is, right? Where you got sitting senators like Youngblade, right? Who is I think a potential vice president. First of all, this woman have done nothing tangible in government for the time she's been there.
mm,
Okay, this woman has not put forward one idea for even her own county. Okay,
mm,
and she's involved in voters fraud. If you go back and say the trucking is fraud, when
mm,
you take somebody from Monrovia and boss them, even this came from Musa Bedede, who is a part of her own party that he
Okay,
mm,
okay, okay,
requested
Chuchu,
office.
Chuchu, just a minute. Chuchu, just a minute. We're talking about the Election Commission in the United States.
Right.
And I got some short information here. It says
Yeah.
Federal Elections Commission. The
uh-huh,
federal, because for our listening audience, we don't want to leave
Correct.
doubt
Correct.
on this
yes,
matter, right? The Federal Election Commission is an independent regulatory agency of the United States whose
yes,
purpose is to enforce campaign finances law in the United States and ensure elections. Now, we talk about the leadership of that, and I'm not going to read all here. It says the commission consists of 6 commissioners appointed by the president. And
yes,
that was where we wanted to know.
uh-huh.
And confirmed by the Liberian Senate. Let me say Liberian Senate, Jesus forgive me.
American Senate.
By the American Senate. Each commissioner is appointed for a 6-year term,
Don't
but
bring
each
our chair here.
ending on April 30th. Okay, 6 year. So
Mhm.
basically, these are the 2 information I wanted to provide for you to
Yeah,
Yes,
know.
but you see what the part that you said they are there for the campaign, thing. But
Finances.
the actual people who conduct the election is the Secretary of State's office. So there are two things you're looking at. They are
Uh,
there for irregularities, campaign financing,
no,
campaign fraud.
no.
But
This is the Federal Election Commission,
uh-huh.
and they take care of all of those things conducting election. We agree. I know what you're talking about. There are some how you call it.
the
Um,
states have the power
the state has
to
a
conduct
role.
presidential
Yeah,
election.
the state has a role with. I think that where they are having even confusion. There are elected um,
No,
district.
and we can deal with. I mean,
All right.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
The basic
Okay.
issue. I mean, we shouldn't mislead
No,
anybody
no,
here. We want
that
everything
get it
clear for
off
you.
track. It doesn't matter. We can do the homework. Like I said, I
Right,
just
right.
want to
So,
do
but the
it
important thing here
because
is the election. There's a federal elections commission.
okay. So let me address
Uh,
that. One of the mistakes that we make in Liberia is anything we see that American people doing, then we think that it's right or it's a standard. There are enough election fraud in terms of election irregularities in America that nobody should look at it as a model. Gerrymandering, the people here said that most of them they don't have a full confidence in the election. Where you have a president that even refused to leave the office of the presidency because he claims that there's a fraud. Why should we be copying? Like copying some model that that doesn't work. The appointment teams, the election commission, when you say independent, that's a word that is relative. If any president who's appointing based on political affiliation is not independent, and you can
okay.
say the same to judges.
Okay. Okay.
Independent
So
means That somebody's job, hold on, somebody's job, independence means is that you are not from the party or affiliation, or you are not appointed based on your political affiliation with a political party or institution. So that word is a word that is being misused. You can't say something is independent, but at the same time, they are elected on political grounds, which is the case in our election commissioner. They
Yeah,
cannot be independent.
there are few things with the United States, and that's why I said we had to be careful how we discuss it. There is the federal. Now, what I read to you from the Wikipedia, and they talked about the Federal Election Commission, right? We know that there are state election commissioners, and the states primarily are at the forefront of conducting elections, right? So with all of this in their procedure, even in the legal system of the United States, the different courts. So you know that this is a federal, country. So we can't go into something. We don't want to mislead people,
Yeah,
because
no,
our purpose here was, for
correct.
me
But
primarily, I wanted to see
I'm concerned
who
with
our
our election
country.
commission. And that's what I'm concerned about. That's what I can
Okay,
speak to. Which,
okay, okay.
which the only reason I brought the US is because I will copy everything just in the Constitution. America has a federal system. We don't.
Right, right,
States in America are completely autonomous. They pass their own law. We don't have that system. But we go
right.
and copy the people's system that works on a different structure.
But we can't
And
forget that Liberia was funded by the United States,
it
right?
doesn't matter.
It matters because the founding fathers of Liberia came from right here.
It doesn't matter. Look, most of the
The
African
constitution that you have was written by
colonized.
these very people.
Yeah,
And
but
let's
that
also
and then
think beyond that.
the idea is like saying because somebody using typewriter or used typewriter 20 years ago, so that typewriter you have to use today. That's the analogy when you can use computer. The idea of having education, the idea of studying political science is so you to be able to invent new system and political structure that works with the time. Our problem here is our politician, whatever somebody created or they took from another country 200 years ago or 170, that's what they stuck with. And that
Okay,
is
let me go
not.
back. Let me thank you so much, Mr. Number. Let's look at he raised that's the word, gerrymandering. Boundary creation. There was census report, and there was no demarcation of electoral districts where you know whether there are 20,000 persons in one particular place for that district to be called electoral district. There was no political demarcation. What do you think of that? Is that a factor to stop the elections? I think was it CPP that went to the Supreme Court?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. So
CPP. I
what what
mean,
do you what do you think of that?
well,
Do
I
you think
feel
they
that
must stop elections and then make sure that they follow what the Constitution requires?
now, uh, most of the political parties in the opposition, after they released the preliminary census result,
Mhm.
they wrote a statement to the House and the Senate and the international partners that they do not believe in that result and that the result should be, in a sense, be nullified. The census result.
Mhm.
Now, the CPP went to the Supreme Court and said that we just had census and the result is up. And the lawmakers have to go and do demarcation for electoral district before they start the voter registration,
Mhm.
meaning that the CPP has accepted the census result that almost doubled the population in Grand Cru, in Sano, and in Grand Jere, plus River G.
Well, I don't want
And
us to
no,
be. I don't.
no, no,
I don't.
no, 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 no. Let me land.
Mhm.
And The CPP leader is from Maryland County.
Okay.
Maryland County was punished because the CPP leader is from there, so Maryland County population did not grow. So that was the first thing they should have thought about before going to the Supreme Court.
Let's put it squarely. The government has a responsibility. Mr. Noble, besides,
no, let's go to demarcation.
Right.
Okay. Plibo Surrogate District population was almost the population of Grand Cru in 2008. Plibo Surrogate District have 1 seat. Grand Cru has 2 seats. Now, when it came on the floor, the Senate floor, for Grand Cru to get 1 seat, or these other districts that grew should have or 2 seats, Cletus Watterson fought against it. That time he was president pro tem. That's why only Nimba and Monserrato counties benefited. Now the House or the lawmakers do not do the gerrymandering. It is done by the Election Commission. They took part of Plibo Surrogate District and gave it to Barabo and Callaway District. They took part of Plibo Surrogate District and gave it to Harper District. Because Plibo Surrogate District is the most populated district in the whole of southeastern Liberia.
So what do we make of elections? Chijo, maybe you can share some of your experience, maybe from the US or whatever. In this kind of situation, what if election is challenged tomorrow? Could this be a factor to undo the election result?
Yes, and I think this election is just a mess, and I think Liberia are not ready to have free, fair, incredible elections because we haven't done the work, we haven't laid down the institutions, we haven't really understood what election is. For us, whoever in power is just another mandate to continue, or for somebody else to come in power. Even if I won the election in Liberia, I would not be proud of it because I would know that this is not a free, credible, and transparent election. There was not good in terms of voters' education. There was not, like you said, the gerrymandering, the census, and all of those issues. So it's not and the thing is, Liberians are so selfish that so long something works for them, it's okay.
Right.
That's our fundamental problem.
I agree with you because by this time, this is a serious issue that the media should have highlighted.
Correct.
To a larger extent. Correct. That is not about individualism. That's right. About society. That's about Liberia in totality.
Correct.
The law says after census, there must be demarcation to,
But that's the point of the census. I mean, if you're having a representative government, then the census numbers would determine how many people represent what is 10,000. If you forgo that process, then what it means that your vote, it doesn't count. That you're not represented for the most part, or you're represented by the wrong person. And that's the situation we have in Liberia, that these problems are not going to go away. And this is part of our lack of development, And the thing is, the sad part about it is our political leaders, they can care less about it. We have 5 years to prepare for election. Every senator, representative, the major political parties, that's why you go to the Senate and the House of Representatives. You don't go to Senate representative just to go there, rock car, and get 15,000. You go to change law, to examine laws, to find the ills in society. The election that we held before on Sullivan, what went wrong, and how can we make it right so the vote can actually count, so we can graduate from being this failed state and go into something, at least of a neutral state. And so, what are elections held today? What are Alice Jones wins the election? George Weah wins the election. Burger wins the election. It would not change the living standard of Liberia by 1 ounce unless we go back and we try to fix our laws. We try to do the right thing. Half of the people in the House of Representatives, that's how they got elected. So as a result, we elected people that have no real desire to bring about any change in the country. What it means, making sure that every district in Liberia has the right number of people to make sure that people really understand their votes. But all of them are buying votes one way or the other. Let me give you another example since we're talking about the media. The Liberian media, like the LBS, it doesn't belong to the government.
That is true.
Especially not doing election. Every political party, every views should be heard. But what has happened, from time immemorial? The what they call Lina and the
Yeah.
agency, they are the personal property of the president. I haven't seen any other candidate being desiring to, or even being invited, or even any comments to tell you now the National Broadcasting Corporation, which should be independent, and you go back to the same thing of appointment. So the president gets to appoint a managing director, and the management director is loyal to that government and that president. So these are the fundamental things. That's why I don't even waste my time. You have election. Liberia will remain a poor, dysfunctional, and it's unfortunate for the young people.
But you are a candidate, so if the system is having problem, the commission is having problem, I'm wondering why you even taking part in the elections.
To talk about these things, to try to fix it. My participation, like I said, my goal is to bring change. My goal is I'm not seeking power. Hopefully some of the things that I'm saying, people reason can adopt some of these things, such as president should not be appointing election commission. Look, we have 15 counties. A simple way to say, you know what, each county, you'll find somebody where you can do it from all the parties within that county. That way, you'll send one in from each county. You have 15 election commissioner, and those are the people who will determine the election. That way, at least when you accomplish one thing, you accomplish doing that.
Hey guys, time is fast spent. Let me bring the last issue up. Mr. Numo, yes. The former Chief Justice's daughter got killed.
Mm-hmm.
And up to this time, I don't know whether you're hearing from update, but we are hearing that the family of the former Chief Justice, Grover Moto Scout, they are saying that the government is playing foul, meaning they are trying to press in the minds of the late Shalom Musu's mother and father, so to speak.
Yeah.
The parent of the biological parent of this girl. That's what the guardian of the late Shalom Musu is saying. What are you hearing? What do you think? Do you think something going to come out of this case?
Well, I'm
hearing. Do you think they're going to find a killer?
I'm hearing the same thing. They are not going to find a killer. Thing I have not seen it in print, but they said the death was a result of blood drain. So they are saying that somebody drained the blood of the of the girl. That's why she died. And the whole thing here, the poisoning of the minds of the parents and other weak-minded people,
right,
came from Moba Molu,
right,
who came up. I believe you watched.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's the story that CDC put together. Every time somebody is killed, they have their own story. The guy who was killed in Tapita, the EPS guy, they had their own story. They said the guy shot himself 3 times. I mean, the guy
shot himself first, then he died.
The guy was a tree. a tree, firing itself 3 times. Because a tree fire on itself, it will still be standing up.
But that is possible, right? I mean, not going to the truthfulness of this thing,
Why is
but it's possible, right?
How is it possible?
It's not possible.
Why?
It's not possible.
Because you can
It's
only die
possible. It's
once.
possible.
You
It's possible
shoot
because
yourself in the head, or you will be, and you continue to fire, you will
no,
miss.
listen, Mr. Nomo. You firing your head doesn't necessarily make you to die instantly, right?
No, you will be
You fire-
falling.
yeah, you're falling, but your hand is still on the
You will
trigger.
be falling, but that next shot will miss. Will miss it.
No, you can't say that. If the
the
man
next
had a
shot will
gun,
not
no,
come to
Mr.
your.
Nomo. If
The
the man
next,
had a gun in his head, no. Let's
no,
rationalize
no.
this.
The next
I
shot.
said, listen to my statement. I
They didn't say
said,
the man
not
shot
even going
himself in the head
into
3
the
times.
truthfulness or the falsity of this action of this story,
Okay.
but the man put a gun in his head.
Yes.
I said, for example, I put a gun in my head.
Mhm.
When I fire, the gun is going to strictly go into my skull.
And then you bring it to your stomach.
It
You fire
depends.
in your
No.
stomach.
You say what?
I say you
I
bring
took
it
the
to your
fire-
stomach.
Is that what
and
they
you
said?
fire in your stomach. That
No, they
the
say you fire 3
shot were
times. They
not
didn't
at
say fire in the head,
one
fire in the
spot.
stomach.
The 3 shot were not at one spot.
Okay, now that's an
Yeah.
issue, right? But I just try to rationalize the 3 firing 3 times because we all, we just try to rationalize things here. That aspect, not even their case, but someone like I fire myself, I'm not dead, my hand is still on the trigger, the 3 bullet or more could come out of that
They were
whether
not,
pistol or whatever.
all 3 will not go in the same hole.
That
They
is
will have
arguable.
different-
That is arguable. Okay, but that's not the issue right now. But let's
Okay.
go further
So-
to this guy's death.
So I think what the best thing that need to be done is to try to get the former Chief Justice or Senator out of that country. This woman has been doing some work for the opposition. She is not running for anything. Moba Molu said, she's from Maryland, so it could be, racialistic killing. And these are the things that the seditions are floating. And some weak-minded Liberians will believe them. I do not believe them.
Of course,
And
I don't believe.
I
Again,
believe that nothing will come out of the case. Just like the people they have killed in the past.
yeah, Chuju, let's hear from you. Do you have any take on this?
I think again, it's still unfortunate because someone lost their life, especially
Right.
a young person. With me, I care about the old people because I feel that they caused the problem we have him going all the way back
Freedom
when they
of
were
God?
enjoying. No, and my concern is not with the older generation because the problem we have today, it was the older generation, greed and selfishness and personal interest that led us today to get a George Weah or to get a dysfunctional system. I think
Young
the only
people
change
in
that
the number voted George. We are not the older folks.
yeah, but
Young
what I'm
people in the
saying
number.
is that they did not educate, they did not make the proper investments that should have been made. For George Weah is a victim of that. Yes, a man are born in one of the poorest slum. Why do you have the poorest slum in the capital city when you have all the resources from in a country where we got president high yachts, the
Do
third one
you call George Weah a victim? George Weah was going to Western. Why he did not complete? That the
Yeah,
old
because
people told him
Are
to
you
drop
saying
out?
the president did not complete high school, Mr. Numo?
no.
George Weah did
But
not
let me finish
he
my
did not
assertion,
even
then you guys
complete
Okay,
can
Mr. Numo,
debate.
hold on, please, hold on.
He
Let's
did not
hear from you.
complete junior high
Okay,
school.
wait.
Let me finish what I mean. That even George Weah is a victim. Look, there's nowhere in the world where the future of the country, right, is dependent upon one talented person by skin of the teeth can make it to go to Europe to come back and becomes the model. Every country in the world that has developed or progressed is because of the investment into social and educational program for all. So you can't base a country on because Alice is a talented person, then he will make it. No, and we all know if you go around the country, the social program, the educational program is non-existent. I mean, on very rare instances, you may have some geniuses, you can have some very good students who exert themselves and by some hook or crook are able to make it to even get a very basic education. And that's why I'm always critical of the entire political structure that will siphon resources that's supposed to go for education and social program to themselves through pay and compensation. That is a crime. That is a crime. You understand? Any person in government.
We get 6 minutes. We get 6 minutes to go. Less than 5 minutes to go.
The place I have a problem is putting it on the old people.
I'm just laying my case. You can be the jury. I just lay my case.
Let's say you are responsible for the problem in Liberia.
Yes, the past generation.
Old people.
The past generation.
Yes, Jensen. Jensen went to school in Liberia.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. You cannot take Jensen family members.
You started in Liberia.
Let's go on. I mean, we get 5 more minutes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Noble. It's not personal. I'm sorry that you're old man. It's not personal. I don't mean it to you personally.
Are you taking offense to that?
What is it? No, I'm just trying to set record straight.
You don't think the like of the Tipote, the Bacchus Matthew, the
Salib, the Gonglos, the Wakas.
Did they stop Weir from going to school?
Yes, they did not provide any support. Any support. There were no program in Liberia. Hold on.
You're talking about were not with the exception of Salib.
You see,
other people were not in government.
Yes, but you cannot depend the responsibility, Mr. Nupo.
You take money from his pocket,
Mr. Nupo.
And say we are to school,
Mr. Nupo. You cannot put the burden of the state that is supposed to provide certain services on individual.
Okay.
And hope that if one person family send money for them in Liberia and they come to America and they make it, you cannot say you're running a government and you do not have any social program for education. You have one of the most illiterate.
We might discuss that some other time.
Government.
We can discuss that.
We might one day discuss education in Liberia, what has happened in the past and current.
But let me go back to the death for this young lady, which is, I think, is very unfortunate.
You can just give her a closing comment on.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. But here's who I blame. I blame the same Chief Justice in some ways. These are people who are in government that was supposed to make sure, the police that was supposed to make sure the protection of all people. But what we have in Liberia, again, going back to the same selfishness, where because I earn a certain amount of money from government, I can build a fence around my house and I can have security, so I don't care. Those things will come back to hurt you. Even if you educate your children, your daughter, she will go down to Liberia and she will marry somebody who is less educated because how many people in Liberia already have earnings. So you're not doing yourself any favor to say, I will send my children to America, I will put fence around my house, and I will get education. If a society breaks down, and that what happened in 1990, when you neglect the majority of the society, that society is bound to affect everybody. When they walk in, it did not just affect the educated people, the bad people. It affected the good, the bad, the educated, the illiterate, the elites, everybody. And until Liberian leaders get that notion, we're not going anywhere.
Okay, Mr. Numo, your closing statement.
Thank you. And I'm sorry that we did not spend enough time on this issue, but Gloria Scott and her family. And I feel that Mr. Jones sounds like Maba Molu, putting the blame on the former Chief Justice, the former Justice Minister, the former Senator of Maryland County. What Molu said, that's the script Mr. Jones picked.
No, I think I need to respond to that before there's this information. That's not what I'm saying.
We don't have time.
If you respond,
but that is not what I'm saying.
If you respond, I will respond.
Your
So,
comment, your
Yes,
comment
no,
is
I
good.
think we
Your
need to
comment is
tell.
good.
No, this is a
You already
sensitive thing.
responded.
I
Tutu, you
feel
already
No, this
responded.
I cannot let this man
hello,
carry that
This is
narrative.
hello,
briefing
I have
already.
I
my
cannot let
time.
him carry that
Tutu,
narrative.
can you wait? Let me say no more now. We
Okay,
get
I
thank you.
have my time.
Right.
yeah.
And I was very upset when I listened to Mobile Molu.
Mhm.
And the only person that made my day, I even posted a Facebook banner, was Darius DeLong,
Mhm.
who spoke as if to say he was senator of Maryland County. So I feel sorry for the senator,
Mhm.
but that is what happened when you are living in a dystopian society.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And just
The
want
thing
to
I
add,
agree.
I do not share the view of the government or Mobile Molu. I think these people are criminals. I've said it, I went on the record. I think they are responsible for most of the deaths in Liberia. And I think, like I said earlier, the U.S. Embassy has done nothing to hold these people accountable for the most part. I was just saying that as government officials, whether Maryland or Montserrat or wherever, you should work hard to make sure Liberia has national security, good policing, so that some point in your life it doesn't affect you or me. But I sympathize with her. I'm not blaming the victim in this case. So that be very clear on that one.
All right. Thank you so much. I know Mr. Jordan doesn't want to go back to repeat
No, we
himself.
agree. I think we both
Yeah,
agree on that.
I could
Okay,
go back.
so this is the African Actions Network radio and television station. Today I have with me Mr. Chuchu Alex Jones. He's a presidential candidate. He says he's a presidential candidate,
I'm
aspirant,
aspiring. I'm aspiring.
presidential aspirant for the upcoming elections in Liberia. While Mr. George Numo is the former chief operating officer of the General Auditing Commission, even though we don't know how far is the General Auditing Commission going, how they left that institution. We might get back to it one of these days to discuss the General Auditing Commission. But until then, we have discussed issue of the National Elections Commission, the media. How can the media help to ensure free, fair, and transparent election? This topic is important, and we might come back here once again to discuss elections and the media. In the same vein, we discussed issues concerning the former Chief Justice, her daughter that got killed. How far has the Liberian government gone with the investigation? We are still hoping. From Mr. Chuchu and Mr. Numbo, they condemn the act. They believe that such a barbaric killing should not go unpunished, and that they are concerned about the death of that little girl. So, for the National Elections Commission, a lot being said, but we look up to the next discussion where we bring Mr. George Nomwood and Mr. Ellis Jones and a few other persons will be willing to discuss the issues. This is the African Action Network radio and television system. We say it was a good time. Those of you who've been following, thank you for following, share the video. And this is how we come to the close of this program. Have a pleasant and a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We deliver the news to your door. Breaking news, top headlines, the big story, the latest update, and all you need to know are only available on the African Actions Network, 2A Radio and TV. The only independent and balanced online news network. Broadcasting from America to the world. We inform,